Well, imagine going to jail for a murder that you did not commit. In our two-part Newsday, News 12 investigation, reporter Thomas Maier examines the case of Keith Bush, whether an innocent man was wrongfully convicted, and if the real killer got away.
I still have to live with this nightmare, just because I maintained my innocence.
Keith Bush was 17 in January 1975 when Suffolk police charged him with killing Sharice Watson. The 14-year-old girl was strangled and stabbed. Her body was found in an empty lot in North Belport, not far, police say, from where the two had attended a late-night party. Bush was found guilty of murder and attempted sexual abuse. He spent 33 years in jail, all while trying to clear his name.
And I always felt that they were hiding something, or they wasn't telling us something. Something was wrong.
Turns out something was wrong. At age 61, Bush recently learned Suffolk authorities had another possible suspect. Newly revealed documents show John W. Jones, Jr., then a 21-year-old woodworker, admitted in 1975 that he was at the scene the night of the murder. Jones said he tripped over the dead girl's body and left behind his plastic comb, which was found beside the victim. Suffolk authorities never disclosed anything about Jones at Bush's trial. It would remain a secret for the next 4 decades, while Bush spent most of his adult life behind bars.
Obviously, 44 years is an extraordinary amount of time.
Prosecutor Howard Master heads the Conviction Integrity Bureau, recently created by Suffolk DA Tim Sini, which is reviewing the Bush case.
In the event that we determine that he should be exonerated, that would be an extraordinary amount of time for anyone to be suffering under a conviction if they are in fact innocent. That would be deeply disturbing.
Our investigation found other signs that could point to Bush's innocence. Forensic reports show that male DNA found on the dead girl's body that wasn't from Bush. There are also allegations that Bush's signed confession was the result of a police beating, something the department denied, and a key witness who changed her story.
At the trial, did you tell the truth?
No, I didn't.
Maxine Bell says she was a scared homeless kid, afraid of getting in trouble when she became the prosecution's key witness.
I said that I was there and I had saw Keith Bush leave with Sharice Watson, but I didn't see none of this. I was not there.
A few years later, Bell wrote an apology to Bush for lying at his trial.
I know that you are innocent.
But a judge ruled that Bell's accusations provided enough probable cause for Suffolk police to question Bush for hours in 1975. In the end, detectives got a written statement from him admitting guilt. Bush says detectives wrote it for him and beat him for hours until he signed it.
They were basically telling me, well, we know you had committed this crime, that you need to admit to that, and I kept telling them that I didn't commit this crime.
And then what happened?
At his trial, Suffolk police denied any wrongdoing with the confession. And at age 18, Bush was sent to state prison, insisting on his innocence and that the real killer had gotten away. For Newsday and News 12, I'm Thomas Maier.
Now, we reached out to the top detective who handled the Bush case. He declined to talk to us. The prosecutor in the trial is now dead, and former Suffolk DA Thomas Maier said he doesn't remember the case. Tomorrow in part 2, we show you how a law school professor and her students became convinced of Bush's innocence and took on his case.
For decades, a Suffolk man feared he'd spend the rest of his life in jail for a murder he says he didn't commit. Well, Keith Bush got a second chance to prove his innocence. Here's the final part of our Newsday News 12 investigation with reporter Thomas Maier.
Law professor Adele Bernard and her students are on a mission to win justice for people wrongly convicted of murder.
My clinic is designed to try to sort through all of the different requests for assistance that we get and try to look for people who we think may in fact be innocent.
Back in 2006, Bernard's team learned about Keith Bush. Bush had already spent more than 30 years in prison for the murder and attempted sex abuse of a North Bellport teenager, Sharice Watson. After a decade of investigating, Bernard convinced the Suffolk DA to take a second look.
I think Keith Bush is innocent because all the evidence points to his innocence.
It might be said that it's on the way home.
Suffolk prosecutor Howard Master is reviewing evidence gathered by Bernard and their students, trying to determine if Bush was given a fair trial and whether he really killed Watson more than 40 years ago.
Essentially, we're trying to discover the truth.
We were granted unprecedented access inside the review process to determine Bush's fate. If he's cleared, it will become one of the longest-running wrongful conviction cases in U.S. history. Like some high-tech Sherlock Holmes, Bernard focused on DNA evidence found at the 1975 murder scene. Underneath the fingernails of the strangled victim, 14-year-old Sharice Watson, forensic scientists found traces of male DNA, but it wasn't from Keith Bush. It was from an unknown man.
Somebody struggled with her, and that person wasn't Keith. So that was the first thing that made me think that he was innocent.
Bernard's early attempts to overturn Bush's conviction failed. Tom Spoda, Suffolk's DA at that time, called it a fishing expedition and vigorously opposed Bush's release. Bernard filed a lawsuit to force the disclosure of all police and prosecution records in the case. And in May last year, Bernard uncovered the biggest surprise of all. Police had another possible suspect, John W. Jones, Jr. Jones told cops he tripped over the dead girl's body on the night of the murder and left his long comb at the scene, evidence kept secret for more than 40 years.
We're trying to figure out if there may even be a potential match between John Jones and that forensic evidence that was obtained from the victim all these many years ago. So that is obviously it's a burning question.
This news came as a shock to Harold Seligman, who was Bush's defense lawyer at his trial in 1976.
I think the real killer got away, and I think there's a strong possibility it could have been Jones.
Our investigation shows that while Bush remained in jail, Jones went on to commit several crimes before he died in 2006, including using a knife to slash a man on this Amityville street corner. Bush was paroled in 2007 and remains listed on the internet as a sex offender. He's grateful for this second chance to clear his name, but worried about getting his hopes up.
Looking in the future and seeing nothing but darkness, being optimistic at times, thinking that you're finally going to prove your innocence, and then the door shuts in your face.
Roughly, how close?
By investigating what happened here at the murder scene, Master says he's committed to finding the truth.
We have an obligation to seek justice, and that means not just seeking convictions, it means doing the right thing.
For Newsday and News 12, I'm Thomas Maier.
Now, a judge is expected to decide soon whether to throw out Bush's conviction. If it's overturned, Bush will have waited 44 years to prove his innocence. If you want to read more, pick up a copy of today's Newsday.